Dajia Hao, as they say in China, even though I am still in Vietnam. And just want to start off by saying I'm really happy with my decision for getting the Black Friday special on HBO Max. I recently learned that you can access a lot of great content if you use like a VPN server from a different country. And you can check out my other channel for more information on that. It's called Prime Sharking, where I talk about like accessing different content on mostly Amazon, but I recently did a video on HBO Max. I just discovered you can do it with that platform too, like a week ago. And about 2 days ago, um, I was checking different servers and I found out that Rocky 1 through 5 and Creed 1 and 2 are on HBO Max if you use the Australia server. Now, there are commercials with that country, but they're like, I don't think they're as frequent as they are with the American version of HBO Max. Like I watched Rocky 3 the other day, and there was only one 15-second commercial throughout the whole movie. I take a drink of my Sting energy drink, which you can get here in Ho Chi Minh City. Ah. So anyway, I was watching Rocky 3, and it reminded me of this theory I have on why Clubber hates Apollo so much. I mean, obviously, it was a plot device to um, justify Apollo wanting to join forces with Rocky to take down Clubber. But I don't know. I spend a lot of time thinking about the movies and the Rocky franchise. It's one of my favorite fran, franchise. It's one of my favorite franchise. Ah, Rocky is one of my favorite franchises. What is it? Franchise? Franchise. One of my favorite franchises. Is that right? Franchise. 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 Sounds wrong. I know. It's not franchise, right? It's franchise. Ugh, forgive me. One of my favorite movie series. It seemed kind of odd that Apollo would just have this automatic hatred for Apollo. When Apollo first goes up to him, try to shake his hand, Clubber immediately just flies off the handle and almost tries to like provoke Apollo into fighting him right there before he's about to fight Rocky. I mean, Clubber Lang, he was absolutely ruthless, terrifying. Although I hear Mr. T was actually a pretty nice guy, but anyway, um, so in this video, I'm going to talk about just it's kind of like a fan fiction story I made up in my head to like justify um, Clubber's hatred for Apollo. And I remember seeing in another YouTube video that someone had this theory that one of the pieces of hate mail that Apollo was reading in um, Rocky 2 was actually written by Clubber Lang, specifically the one about him being was a disgrace to his people or something like that. I think that's possible, but and it doesn't like automatically go against my theory. But my theory is that Clubber Lang actually used to be like a huge fan of Apollo's. And I think he absolutely idolized Apollo at one point, but then he had like those two bad fights against Rocky, and especially the second one. I think that really changed Clubber's tune against Apollo. And I kind of like have this idea, like in my fan fiction story that, he was pretty disappointed after the first fight, but then he got excited about the rematch and he was like kind of like saying to everyone he knew, all his friends that same thing that Apollo was saying that they were going to see the real Apollo this time and that he was just going to totally beat the crap out of Rocky this time. And I just imagine Clubber getting together maybe at one of his friends' house in the ethnic neighborhood they live in and Clubber excitedly talking about how Apollo's gonna like just beat the hell out of Rocky, and there's just no way Rocky's gonna win this time or even go the distance. He's probably saying like Rocky won't last 5 rounds and all this and that. And then, of course, we know what happens. Rocky ends up just barely beating Apollo, and I think probably at that moment when he's like in his friend's apartment with all his gang members, that Clubber probably just absolutely lost it, and he just totally lost all respect for Apollo, and he just exploded. I can imagine him grabbing his friend's television set and just imagine his friend saying, "No, no, 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 Clever, don't, it's a new TV," and Clever not listening and just being so mad, kind of like I was in 2003 when the Chicago Cubs blew the NLCS and they were 5 outs away. I almost did the same thing with my TV, but I can just imagine Clubber Lang grabbing his friend's TV and just throwing it out of the window, and you see a picture of it landing on the sidewalk, crashing out of the window and landing on the sidewalk. And I think it has been established that Clubber was actually a former prisoner. And who knows, maybe that's actually could be the event that actually caused him to end up going to prison. Maybe like he, he ends up taking a swing at his his friend or friends. And because of that, he ends up going to prison for a few years. And I think that could be something that could cause him to develop not even a strong hatred for Apollo, but for Rocky. The whole time, if like basically Rocky beating Apollo was the cause of him going to prison. You know, I I, I know it's like in some video game that establishes him going to prison. I'm not sure if it says the reason for him going to prison. So this might go against that, but anyway, that's my theory. And I think that would be a good explanation on why when Apollo goes up to Clubber, he just immediately lashes out at him. And also on why he's like so determined to beat Rocky, to show how much better he was than Apollo also at the same time. So that's my theory. Um, Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. And I'm actually thinking about doing a series of videos on the Rocky franchise. Is that franchise? Rocky series. I got time for the pain, so I got time to do that. You remember that old aspirin commercial? Says it, I haven't got time for the pain. Well, I've got time for the pain right now. Okay, so I may just use some of that time to make more videos about the Rocky series, even if they don't get a lot of views. But hopefully they will. Hopefully somebody watches this, and if you're watching this and you like it, well, if you're watching it, I hope you like it. And I think that's gonna do it. Until next time, as they say in China, 再见.